July 3rd, 2019. Happy 4th of July to everyone. Most of you will probably be listening to this right heading into 4th of July or on 4th of July. I'm going to try to get through this quick. Mainly I wanted to post it because there's a cool Pick 5 carryover at Arlington Park on 4th of July, and it's a low takeout Pick 5, and there's already a carryover of over $46,000 in it. So worth taking a shot, putting a few bucks into. So I'm going to break down that sequence. And really, that's going to be the main focus for this podcast. But we're going to hit on some NBA free agency. And we're going to talk about the field is set for a 64-team bracket for the best baseball movie ever. Yes, best baseball movies ever this week. 64. Wow. Of all the best movies that we've done, the best sports movies, this is by far the deepest and the most stacked group. Little Women's World Cup. And then next episode, in just a few days, we'll have another Wimbledon check-in, more MLB, who's hot, who's not, and Big Little Thoughts. And then talk about how Stranger Things and Suits coming up will be a couple shows that we'll be doing some recaps for. Let's get started with a little on this day, July the 3rd, back in 1863, the Battle of Gettysburg, largest battle ever fought on the American continent, ending a major victory for the Union during the U.S. Civil War. 1884, Dow Jones publishes its first stock index, the Dow Jones Transportation Average. 1928, the first color television transmission in London. 1976, Bjork wins first of 5 straight Wimbledons. 1985, thought these two back-to-back were cool. Back to the Future was released in theaters. And my dad actually built Michael J. Fox's house. So I have a couple Back to the Future Power Wheels DeLorean-style cars. And one of them I used to drive around in, and the other I have signed by Michael J. Fox, never touched, total collector's item. Love Back to the Future. But in 1987, on this day, July the 3rd, Adventures in Babysitting was released, starring Elizabeth Shue. The interesting tie-in with Back to the Future and Elizabeth Shue is that Back to the Future 2 was starring Elizabeth Shue. She played Jennifer Parker in Back to the Future 2. The original actress who played Jennifer Parker in Back to the Future stopped acting. Her mom was sick with cancer, and so she was taking care of her mom. So the tie-in with Elizabeth Shue, she actually plays Jennifer Parker in Back to the Future 2. She plays Chris Parker in Adventures in Babysitting. And interesting that just a few years later, she would star in Back to the Future 2. 2018, Cardi B, the first female rapper with 2 number 1 U.S. Billboard hits. On this day, the Women's World Cup. Congratulations to the women. They are in the final now with, wow, soccer gets a bad rap, and soccer's not nearly as popular in the United States as it is, worldwide. But this match was awesome. It was a lot of drama. You're in the Final Four now, so you expect it to be obviously a very, good teams left. There's going to be no more 13-0 victories. No Rapinoe out with a hamstring injury, so your best player or one of your best players, very controversial, is out. He's been one of the stars of the tournament. So Christian Press is starting instead. Ends up scoring in the 10th minute. Puts the U.S. up 1-0. England comes back after an Alex Morgan goal, 2-1 in the 31st minute. Alex Morgan does a little celebration where sipping on some tea. Little teacup. Tea time. So we had no Rapinoe. The sub for Rapinoe, that was starting for Rapinoe, scores. Then you have Alex Morgan scoring with a little tea time celebration. England has an offsides. They score a goal, and the goal is taken away by video replay via offsides. Then England misses a PK. It was a great save by Nair in the 83rd minute. There was another moment when the U.S. had a key chance when Morgan was wide open in the middle of the box, but press didn't see Morgan and took the shot instead and went wide. Could have put the U.S. up 3-1. Instead, they still able to hold on for the victory. And now they will be playing the Netherlands in the final. Netherlands 1-0 win over Sweden. So it'll be the Netherlands versus the U.S. women in the final. NBA free agency has been insane. As of this recording, it looks like Kawhi is going back to Toronto. It was the Lakers, a lot of the buzz. It was the Clippers all along. Now it feels heavily like he's going back to Toronto. He's in Toronto right now. That makes the most sense to me, right? I mean, I just felt like the Clippers were the team that didn't really make a lot of sense. He could either stay in Toronto with the team that he just won, sign a couple years with them. He's comfortable. He knows the way that they just took care of him really well for the year. Or if you're going to want to try to win and you want to team up with, LeBron and Anthony Davis, it's not a bad way to go. I just didn't ever really see him going to the Clippers, and it feels like he's going to Toronto now. So if that news breaks at all, and while I'm recording this podcast, it definitely might. It's been frustrating because I wanted to record this show earlier, and I figured that we'd get the Kawhi news so I could at least react to it. But you know how it's going to happen. As soon as this pod is over and recorded, Kawhi is going to have announced that he went to Toronto. But at least that's the feeling now. It's crazy because a lot of media people felt Lakers over the last few days, but this is such hearsay. I'm just a little disappointed with all the reporting out there and all the back and forth. It seems like in this age of social media, there's never been as much inaccuracy out there as there is right now. Let's run through what the league looks like, though. Boston. These are some of the acquisitions. Boston, Kemba Walker, Enes Kanter, Daniel Theis, Brad Wanamaker. So they changed their team up quite a bit. They lose a couple big pieces too. Brooklyn, obviously, we heard they signed Kyrie and Durant. Durant will be out for the year, and they're both going to take a little bit less money. So DeAndre Jordan gets paid. Brooklyn also has Garrett Temple and Wilson Chandler. Charlotte really badly, in my opinion, overpaid Terry Rozier, 3 years, $58 million. Chicago, Satoransky, Thaddeus Young, Archie Diacono, and Cornet. The Pistons, Derrick Rose and Tim Frazier. Pacers, I like what I've seen from the Pacers so far. Malcolm Brogdon, Jeremy Lamb, Sumner, and TJ McConnell. Some really nice pieces. Brogdon's going to be an excellent piece for them for years going forward. The Heat, with the big trade, they got Jimmy Butler. They add Myers Leonard. Milwaukee made a few changes. They did retain Middleton, Brook Lopez, George Hill. They did add Robin Lopez and Wes Matthews, so the Lopez brothers there. Knicks have been the one that people feel a little polarizing, I guess, in the moves they've made. Julius Randle, 3 years for $63 million, and they paid Bobby Portis, Taj Gibson, Reggie Bullock, Alfred Payton, Wayne Ellington. Couldn't get a big free agent, but a lot of pieces. It's like those are solid veteran pieces or players that I think could be good all in different areas if there was a star. I just don't know if there's going to be a star for the Knicks yet. Could be a really big year for Julius. Maybe like a fantasy player to leech onto. Orlando re-signed Vucevic, Terrence Ross, Michael Carter-Williams. They added Al-Farouq Aminu. 76ers, Al Horford, Tobias Harris. That was a big one. They did Al Horford. Add Tobias Harris. They get Josh Richardson in the trade. Mike Scott, Kylo Quinn, James Ennis. So a lot of moving pieces there. The Raptors still waiting on Kawhi. Matt Thomas is the only other move we've heard from them. Washington, Thomas Bryant, Ish Smith, and Isaiah Thomas. Good old Thomas Bryant getting some money. Like to see that. Former Laker. Dallas, Porzingis gets paid in a really weird deal that might come back to bite them because he's been injury prone. Dwight Powell, J.J. Barea, Maxi Kleber, Seth Curry, who I really wanted in the Lakers, and then Finney Smith. Denver, a max extension for Jamal Murray. Paul Millsap. Paul Millsap also picked up, they picked him up for the year with his option. The Warriors, D'Angelo Russell to the Warriors. They re-signed Klay Thompson, Looney, Willie Cauley-Stein they picked up, and Glenn Robinson III. The Rockets, Gerald Green, House, Austin Rivers. The Clippers, Patrick Beverley, Mo Harkless, Rodney Magruder. Lakers so far, Troy Daniels and Jared Dudley. And obviously they made the trade for Anthony Davis, and they're waiting for if they do or don't get Kawhi. I mean, I'm seeing he's gonna stay. I'd imagine he's going to stay. Memphis, Jonas Valanciunas and Andre Iguodala. It looks like Iguodala is either going to be traded or bought out from Memphis. They just also made a trade where they sent Corver to Phoenix, and they got back Melton and Josh Jackson from Phoenix. Minnesota, Jordan Bell and Noah Vonleh. New Orleans Pelicans are going to be a fun young team. Derek Favors, J.J. Redick, Nicolo Melli, Darius Miller. The Thunder, Mike Muscala, Nerlens Noel, Alec Burks. Phoenix, Ricky Rubio and Frank Kaminsky. Portland, Lillard with the Supermax extension. Whiteside on the trade. Could be interesting there. Rodney Hood, Mario Hezonja, Anthony Tolliver. The Kings, Harrison Barnes, Dwayne Dedman, Corey Joseph, Trevor Ariza, Rashawn Holmes. Like some of the players they signed, feel like they may have just signed them for a little too much. Spurs, Rudy Gay and Damari Carroll. Utah Jazz, Bogdanovich, Ed Davis, Jeff Green, and Emmanuel Mudiay. As you've noticed, a lot of movement in the NBA. Lots of money being paid out. One of the most stressful events in life is moving. Everything that goes into the process of relocating. There are so many different factors that you have to worry about. I know someone who can make your life easier, and I'm very happy to introduce Cindy Carryover as a sponsor of That's What G Said podcast. If the name sounds familiar, Cindy is the wife of horse racing trainer Jack Carryover, who's been a mainstay on the Southern California racing circuit for the last 30 years. Cindy Carryover is a full-service realtor that can help you in many different ways, like selling, purchasing, and leasing. She can help you find vendors like handymen, painters, landscapers, and gardeners that she personally uses in her own home. Also, if you need help with getting pre-approved for a home loan, Cindy can connect you to lenders that she works closely with and can highly recommend. Covering all parts of the San Gabriel Valley and parts of North San Diego County, Del Mar, Solana Beach, and Rancho Santa Fe. If you're just curious to see how much your home is worth, she can even do a free market analysis of your home's value. You can find Cindy on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, reviews about her on Yelp and Zillow, or the easiest way, cindycarryover.com. You can find all the contact information there. That last name, Carava. I've known her personally for almost a decade. She is one of the most honest and genuine people I've ever met. Exactly the type of person you can trust with any of your real estate needs. Get to cindycarava.com right now. If you have any questions at all, email her, cindyc.realtor@gmail.com. And this gives me a nice little tangent into the next segment, which is going to be the field for the best baseball movies. Mrs. Carryover, Cindy Carryover, she said some of her favorites: A League of Their Own, The Sandlot, Moneyball, and Field of Dreams. Well, you've named some of the top 8, I think. I was trying to put them into seeds. And the seeding of like a 64-team tournament. So I'll have the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, the 6s, the 7s, the 8s. We'll go through. Here's what the field looks like, and I'm going to have the voting out in the bracket. So make sure to follow on Twitter. It's me, Gino B. Go back and watch some of these baseball movies. Come and vote in the polls. Let some of your friends know that like these movies. This has been the best one so far. And this is a deep group. Bull Durham, Major League, The Sandlot, The Natural, Field of Dreams, A League of Their Own, Moneyball, Bad News Bears, 42, Bang the Drum Slowly, 8 Men Out, Pride of the Yankees, For Love of the Game, Hardball, Rookie of the Year, Little Big League, Brewster's Millions, Angels in the Outfield, Summer Catch, Mr. Baseball, Major League 2, Fever Pitch, The Rookie, The Babe, The Scout, Trouble with the Curve, It Happens Every Spring, $1 Million Arm, The Slugger's Wife, 61, Damn Yankees, The Stratton Story, Fear Strikes Out, Bingo Lang Traveling All-Stars, Pride of St. Louis, Cobb, Sugar, The Fan, The Perfect Game, Bad News Bears, the new one, The Bench Warmers, Major League 3, Hank Aaron Chasing the Dream, Bad News Bears Breaking Training, Life and Times of Hank Greenberg, Jackie Robinson Story, Bad News Bears in Japan, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Ed, Knuckleball, Chasing 3000, Beer League, Sandlot 2, Everyone's Hero, Game 6, Off the Block, Ball Player, Don't Look Back, The Babe Ruth Story, Mr. Den's Destiny, Up for Grabs, and Batted Bastards of Baseball, Tiger Town, and I believe that's all. Yeah, that's the group. So the voting will begin soon. I'll go through it more. I'll break these down into, and we'll talk about some of the best movies, and we'll do some of the deep dives like we did. We'll bring a guest on in the next few days, and we'll really get into some of these best baseball movies. But get to Twitter. It's me, Gino B. Follow me over on Twitter. Talk some horse racing news, and then that Arlington pick 5. Matoli connections are intrigued by stretching out to a mile and eighth in the Whitney, but probably won't. The Vanderbilt and the Forgo look most likely. Midnight Bisou's goal is the personal ensign, grade 1, probably running in the Shuvi next. Serengeti Empress will run in the test next with Bellafina, Break Even, and Kofivi. Going to try to use that to set up for the Cotillion. That should be a loaded test. Gift box pointing to the Pacific Classic. Omaha Beach back working mid-July, pointing for races at the end of August, perhaps the Shared Belief Stakes. Arlington Park Pick 5, get your past performances out. 4th of July, carryover, $46,000 plus, and the Pick 5 starts in race number 4. Late Pick 5, low takeout. I'm going to use a few in here. If we start from the inside, we'll talk with Pablo Del Monte. He was a winner last time out. I just don't think this is his best distance and from the rail, and he's stepping up a little bit. He was a bit unprepared at start, took a few strides to get going, but he did deal with the challenge, and he put that one away. That was the next out winner, who is okay. He fits at the level. If this was 5 furlongs, I'd like Pablo Del Monte a lot more. The 2 is Simsbury, and I like Simsbury quite a bit in here. He takes the blinkers off today. He's going to go second start off the layoff. I think he's in a really, really nice spot. He was bumped around a bit at the start. He was 3 deep chasing. He did make a slight bid up to second at the top of the lane before tiring. Now he takes the blinkers off. Second start off the bench. Cuts back. Drops. Speed to sit behind. Lots of things to like about Simsbury. Loves Arlington. Should sit a really nice trip. Because it looks like there's a couple speeds in here, right? With Pablo Del Monte, we think is going to be on the lead. Showgood's going to be on the lead. Spectacular Road's going to be on the lead. They're all very one-dimensional speeds. Tough Stuff's the one to beat in here. If Simsbury's the one to bet at like 4-1, Tough Stuff's the one to beat. After a slow start, it was pushed back to last. It was double-digit lengths out of it. He saved ground. He was still dead last at the top of the lane, and he angled in between horses for a huge late rally. An easy winner, and he just does not have to be so far back. He'll be really tough to hold off in here. The next horse I like is actually the 4, We Love Candy. He broke on top. He got shuffled back to 4th, 5th. Then he moved nicely in between horses. He looked like he was going to win for a split second before Tough Stuff came onto the scene and started the roll. We Love Candy was put up to 3rd because he got in tight late. He should have been second if he didn't get into that late trouble. He was second best in the race. And I think, if he gets forgotten about a little bit in here, makes a lot of sense to use in some of your exotics. So for me, 2, 3, 4, I just didn't really love the rest of the field. I don't think the race is going to set up all that well for the other speeds in here. I'm not a big fan of Kiss That Baby Goodbye. So 2, 3, 4 in that order is how I will play the first leg of the Pick 5 sequence, race 4 on July 4th at Arlington. Race 5. This one is tough. Now, this is a pretty tricky sequence moving forward. He's cheeky, I think, is one of the ones. You go back to his last few starts. He was one of 4 next out winners on the 27th. On the 9th, he was a nice winner. And after he was, last early, he saved ground. He waited. He angled to the outside. He got up late. Most recently, he looked like he was going to win. But he did have some trouble early on. He was in tight. He had the tap on the brakes. It wasn't an easy first quarter mile for him. And he was 3 deep in between, and he just got nailed late. He's really tough to exclude from the exotics. I couldn't really put a ticket together without including him. So he's one I think you have to use. Arrival, not as big of a fan of. I think he's kind of one-dimensional speed. He broke well. He got to the lead easy, and he was headed at the top of the lane. He did come back again a little bit, but no real excuses for him last time out. Student Body Left is going to be my top selection in here, either of turf or synthetic. That's in this particular race. The horses that I have, the surface shouldn't really affect them all that much. It should be more of honestly, for the top contenders, they seem pretty even on the surface. So I'm not like, he's cheeky. You look at Student Body Left, you look at X Prompt. I like them all, particularly based on their turf form, but if the race comes off, I'm not going to change my course with any of them. Student Body Left has been better on the synthetic. X Prompt has not been bad on the synthetic, and most recently, and he's cheeky. We've just seen go back and forth. So got tongue-tied for a second when I was just trying to say something simple. That, yeah, I think they're pretty even on both surface, and more so, there's nobody else in here that feels like they would clearly be upgraded on the synthetic over them. If it's on the grass, don't forget about the 7 Clear and Convincing. But let's talk more about Student Body Left. This barn is 3 for their last 7 off a plus 180-day layoff. This particular horse was one of the 7 and one of the 4 that didn't win back on June the 22nd when finishing second off a 233-day layoff. And that was back in 2018. Going 7 furlongs on the synthetic, and that was first time in the barn. So you feel like this barn knows him better now. You look at him as recent races. September 21st, he broke well from the extreme outside. He was 3 deep into the turn, settled 4th. Was kind of 5 off the lengths in the 2-path. He angled out 4 or 5 deep at the top of the lane. It was not bad at all. If he comes back with even a slightly lower effort than that back on September 21st, he can still win this race. No issues at all. Good barn off the bench. Proven on synthetic and the grass, should come running, has some speed to set up and to chase. Student Body Left, top selection, anything over 4-1, worthy of a win wager. X Prompt, I mean, you go through all of his races since he's been in the U.S. The December 23rd race, slow start, he was last early, he saved ground. He started to move inside behind a wall of horses, but he was waiting. Found a seam, angled out 5 deep, very nice win. February the 2nd was not bad at all. He was towards the back. I think the wide trip hurt him. He was 2 deep, he was 6, then he was 3 deep, he loomed up. He had dead aim, but he was a little bit flat late. It wasn't a bad effort. March the 16th. He was 10th of 12 early, he was behind horses. He only really got a chance to run late. He was okay. But that was a much better group. Last time out, went a little shorter, probably a race to set this up, get a little more speed into him, put the blinkers on. I don't think you'll have to be so far back today. You have to use this horse in all of your exotics. This is a capable barn that hasn't had a ton of first off the claim runners, but they have won with first time in their barn horses previously in just the last couple years. Sea Rover, not really a fan of. Against Rhythmia, sat second under really slow fractions. I think he would really need a perfect trip. Clear and Convincing, make an easy excuse for his last out. He just stopped. Just tossed that race. Couple starts back, he beat a horse who's won 3 of the next 4, a couple times for 25 at Belmont, and then never even called some outside speed. 3, 4, 1, 7 is the order I have them in the 5th at Arlington. I think 1, 3, and 4 you have to use in all the exotics. I'll use some 7s in a couple spots. 6th race, 3rd leg of the sequence. The inside horses, I'm not really a fan of the first 5. I mean, the 1 wouldn't shock me. Katarinaslav. He's going to need to improve in here. Should save some ground, but there are just a lot of others with upside that I like more. Rustic Rick, going to have to improve stepping up. I need to see a lot more from Foolish Behavior. Vacation Lover, first timer going long on the grass. Bred well, but I just want to see one because it's not easy, and this is not something that barn has done very well, or most barns can do well. Get a horse to go long on the grass first time out. And then Ready and Rich. I wouldn't talk you off playing Ready and Rich underneath. Has a decent grass race on the turf at Gulfstream Park. That a repeat of that would probably win this. But he's really hard to trust. So, I mean, I'd treat him as more of an underneath horse in here. If Ready and Rich is like 5, 6 to 1 though and floats up, I wouldn't talk you off using him in a race where I'm already going to be spreading a little bit. I just wouldn't want to take a short price on Ready and Rich. The 6 is Hard Story, who he really never had a shot with the wide trip last time out. If this race stays on the grass, I think he has a legitimate long shot chance and maybe a horse to include. The 7 is Bold Painter, and he's really tough to knock if you look at his last 5 efforts. They really haven't been bad at all. Going along on the synthetic here on May the 18th, he was just beaten a neck. He broke right on top. He crossed over. He opened up a half length and was headed, but then he battled back, and he took the lead again. He just kept battling back from the inside, really tried hard. Last out at Churchill, he broke well, but he was outrun a little bit, and then he back to 6 to 7 lengths off. He closed well. He angled out 4 wide. He was no match for the winner, but he was a clear-cut second. He's fine on either the turf or the synthetic. He won he beat a horse, was behind a horse, another mystery, who was a first level allowance winner out of that race. He's not fast, but he has more positional speed than he showed last time out. Bold Painter. First time starter, Star of Kodiak. Dan was a 4-time winner. 3 of the 5 Sibs to race have won, but nothing crazy as far as big winners. There's a little bit of a shot. Louis Kingdom, in the debut, he broke in. He was very fast, but he was a little bit green. He opened up 4. He just held on for 3rd. He's logical speed second time out, but I think there's other speed in here. It doesn't mean he can't sit off the pace, and he's a horse to include. I have him 4th. I just like a couple others I think have a little more upside. The 10 Mine Runner needs lots of improvement second out. This barn can do so. They're very good with maiden seconds out. Was a step slow, was in between at the back of the pack. Get a little bit of action in the debut. The 11, Hello America, does look like the one to beat. He had a good start. He ended up 3rd, maybe about 6 lengths off behind Louis Kingdom, who was winging it on the front end. He was on the inside of a pair. He was traveling very well, but he had to wait behind horses. He closed well. He was a clear-cut second, and he looks like the one to beat. And with any improvement, he'll be really, really tough in here. And he ran on the synthetic. Should be great on the grass, and we know he's proven fine on the synthetic. Raft is the horse who's kind of a wild card that I'll make my top selection slightly over Hello America. He will be in the mix early. There's just something to him when I watch all of his races. He's been in some productive races. If you go through all of them, they've all included some nice horses who have come out of those races to run well. A couple next out winners in the Ellis Park race, and then at Churchill, he hit Marky King and Laughing Fox. Last out, Coolig Bear, who was a next out winner, and then was 3rd against optional 80s at Belmont after that. He broke right with the leaders. He tracked behind. He got shuffled a bit, and he came on again. And when I watch all of his races, I just can't help but think that there is something here with him. So I'm going to put him on top. 12 over 11 over 7 over 9. And if this race comes off, the 12 and the 11, completely fine on the synthetic. The 7 is completely fine on the synthetic. And the 9, Louis Kingdom, completely fine on synthetic. So no issues with them. Projecting all of them to be fine on the grass too, which the race is on. But hearing that there could be a lot of bad weather, they should be fine on either surface. If the race is on the grass and the 13 draws in, big shot, the next best thing. So make sure to do some adjustments if someone gets scratched in this race and the 13 is in. 7th race at Arlington. We'll take a kind of a shot in here with the horse you like on top. And I guess we'll just go through the field little by little from the inside out, though. The 1, Helen Hayes, she's the one to beat. The race doesn't set up all that well for her, but she might just be better than everyone else. And I don't know if she's a need the lead. She should be able to sit okay from the rail. So Helen Hayes, she'll be tough to exclude. I think she's obviously the one to beat. I'm not going to bet her to win, but in the pick 5 here, she's really tough to leave out of your tickets. Paulette, not a fan of Paulette in this spot. Sammy's Car I have in the 3rd spot. Was behind a fine next out winner last time out. She's okay in here. She has a little bit of speed. She should be close. It's just really tough to love anyone in this field because there's a lot of horses that are not in the best of form, and in particular did not run well last time out. The 4 Prado's Encore is a wild card that's worth some including. Fine turf form, has shown the ability to kind of sit and pass some horses if need be, but enough speed to get in the mix. So I think she's one to include depending on how deep you go. I have her pick 4th in here. Track Magic, not a fan of. I think Logie will be close early and maybe just make that pace a little quicker. Same thing for Canton Comet, who's a total hit or miss type horse, right? Really only one decent effort, and that was showing speed in a race where she was able to get the lead under pretty slow fractions to the half mile. Now going to go first time on the grass. I'm just expecting some pace. The 8 Superstar Diva, more of an underneath type. Just not a fan of the last couple efforts from Superstar Diva. Really didn't see any excuses for those poor performances. I'm going to make the top selection Kuranagi. Wait. Kuringai. Total shot here. Okay. Put a line through the May 18th race at Arlington. Her last effort, very good coming from well off of it. She doesn't have to be so far back as she showed when breaking her maiden at Hawthorne in April of 2018. Now, she's coming off a long layoff. She hasn't raced in over a year, but the way that this race looks on paper, it's either, Helen Hayes is better than the rest of this field and I think she beats them, or we get a horse like Kuranagi because the race sets up where Helen Hayes shows speed, Sammy's Car shows speed, Prado's Encore shows speed, Logie shows speed, Canton Comet shows speed, My Jilly shows a little pace, Superstar Diva's in the mix. There's a scenario where that happens and it sets up nicely for the 9. So let's put the 9 on top of the 1, Helen Hayes. We'll put the 3, Sammy's Car in the 3rd spot. The 4, Prado's Encore. I mean, you may have to go very deep, and I'll play one ticket where I do go very deep in here. The 7, Canton Comet, and then the 11, My Jilly, I think is a horse to include who faced tougher last time out for the new barn off the claim. Now they drop back in, proven on both the synthetic and on the grass. So My Jilly would be in the mix also. I had this 9, 1, 3, 4, 7, 11, depending on how deep you want to go. But we'll play one ticket where it's 1, 9, and then another ticket where it's 1, 3, 4, 7, 9, 11. 8th race, closing things out. There is really not a lot of horses that seem to be like a consistent fit at this level. So this is another race where I think if you want to go price fishing, go for it, right? What's wrong with the 1 Prairie Chief who had a little bit of trouble, was squeezed back at the start, recovered well, moved up to 3rd with dead aim, was 3 deep at the top of the lane, and was passed, but came on again in between horses and wins the battle for 3rd as the beaten favorite. He's been the beaten favorite most recently, but I could see him really fitting well in this spot if he can work out a trip from the inside. And I'm going to make him my slight top selection based on price. The 2 Cats Runaway got stuck inside on the rail. It was okay. I just like others more in here. I don't have him in my top 5. The wild card is Crankshaft, who was a $245,000 purchase. His May 26th race, he had a length lead within 100 yards and was really good and geared down late. And that was going 6.5 furlongs. This is 6. He's a tough horse to leave off your ticket because he's the type of horse who might be able to just clear the field, every other race or 1 every 3 races and be very good when he does so. And then if he gets headed or if he doesn't get the lead, he might be the horse who runs dead last. President-elect, not a whole lot to say about that one. World of Truth, stepping up for a very nice barn, proven over the track. I just don't love this group. I'll take a horse who's in good form looking for his 3rd in a row. Let's use World of Truth. I have him in the 3rd spot in race number 8. 6, Rock Can Tour. Comes off a win. He actually beat the horse Prairie Chief, who I'm going to use, but I want to see Rock Cantour do it again. With his late running style, I think he'll need things to break really well for him. Little Mighty Man, on the other hand, I think he looks like the one that you have to beat off of that last effort. He broke well. He ended up 5th, 5 off. He was 2 deep. He moved in between horses. He angled around 3 deep, and he just held second. If you go through his last 6 or 7 races, there are a couple that you can make legitimate excuses for, and then the other races are good. He seems to be in the best form, and he seems like the most likely winner of this race. So whether shortcut, not a whole lot that convinced me worth including. And then Unbridled Ruler, the old light bulb angle, where you have a horse who takes 26 times to break his maiden, but he's always shown talent, right? He's not a horse that's without ability, and he has a lot of speed from the outside. He could very easily wire this field or get right in the mix, so he's tough to exclude. But you figure the way the race shapes up on paper with Unbridled Ruler and with Crankshaft and with a horse like Cat's Runaway, there will be a couple speeds in here, so it won't be easy for Unbridled Ruler. But I have 1, 7, 5, 3, 9 in that order, depending on how deep you want to go or who you want to use. So a couple different approaches on how I'll play the pick fives, but I gave you the horses I like in order just in case if you want to play a really small ticket or a really big ticket, you can do so. My first ticket will be 2-3 with 1-3-4. So 2-3 is Simsbury and Tough Stuff. 1-3-4. He's Cheeky, Student Body Left, and X Prompt. With 11-12. That is Hello America and Wrath. With 1-3-4, 7, 9, 11. So this is the pick 5 where I'll use all those horses I mentioned in the 7th, spread out, and then I'll use all those horses I mentioned in the 8th to spread out. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So 2-3 with 1-3-4 with 11-12 with 1-3-4, 7, 9, 11 with 1-3-5-7-9. Different approach if you want to go a little deeper, maybe throw a couple extra horses in or change the ticket, or maybe you play 2 different tickets. I generally will like to play 2. 2-3-4 with, so in the first leg will include We Love Candy. Then 1-3-4-7. So that's He's Cheeky, Student Body Left, X Prompt, and we'll throw in the 7 Clear and Convincing. 7, 11, 12. Now in the 6th race, we'll include the 7 Bold Painter, along with Hello America and Wrath. 4th leg of the sequence, which is race number 7, we'll shorten up here to 1-9. So we'll just go with Helen Hayes there, and then the 9, our top selection, 1 and 9. And then to close things out, 1, 3, 5, 7. Prairie Chief, Crankshaft, Word of Truth, and Little Mighty Man. Couple approaches for you folks. Have a great 4th of July. Be safe, have fun. 4th of July has always been one of my favorite holidays as from a kid growing up. We have always had like a barbecue here where I live in Temple City. Fireworks are legal, which is a lot of fun. So we can have a little fireworks show. We play a softball game right down the street from my house. We have a barbecue, some drinks, some dessert. A lot of fun. 4th of July, Halloween have always been 2 of my favorite holidays, and I've always had a blast. So I hope you all have a great one, and maybe I'll see some of you here at my house in future years on 4th of July. So be safe. Happy holidays. Joey, my man, this is all you.